Did you know there are more trees on Earth than stars in the Milky Way? Imagine this. There are about 3 trillion trees on Earth, while the Milky Way contains an estimated 100 to 400 billion stars. This means there are more trees on our planet than stars in our galaxy. This surprising fact highlights the abundance of life on Earth. Every time you walk through a forest or see a tree in your yard, remember how vital these giants are for sustaining life, providing oxygen, and regulating the climate. How about this? There are road maps for astronauts on the moon. During the Apollo missions, special markings were made on the moon's surface to help astronauts navigate. These markers included lines and even arrows pointing in specific directions. In an environment where horizontal landmarks are not obvious and visibility is limited, these markers were crucial. Although the moon seems empty, these hidden details help future missions avoid getting lost and allow better exploration of Earth's satellite. The Shawshank Redemption, a movie that didn't become a legend right away. Who would have thought that one of the greatest films of all time, The Shawshank Redemption, initially flopped at the box office? When this masterpiece by Stephen King and director Frank Darabont was released in 1994, it didn't make much money in theaters. But thanks to word of mouth, the film gained popularity over time. People began recommending it to friends, and it gradually became a cult classic. Today, it tops many lists of the best films of all time, proving that the power of great storytelling and genuine audience love can make a film immortal. Believe it or not, lasers can actually cool objects. While lasers are typically associated with heat, there are special lasers that can cool objects down to ultra-low temperatures. This process, called laser cooling, is used to reach temperatures near absolute zero. These technologies play a key role in quantum physics and are used in experiments with atoms and particles, leading to groundbreaking discoveries in science. Millionaire without a million. How to get rich from scratch. Who would have thought that in today's world you can become a millionaire without a single penny? The term millionaire has long been synonymous with wealth and success, but did you know that there's a phenomenon called a nillionaire, from the word nil, zero? This term describes people who, in reality, don't have a million or any significant capital, but live a lifestyle that suggests high status. This can be connected to borrowed funds, loans, or the creation of an impression of wealth, though there's no real capital behind it. In an age where social media can turn anyone into a star, this phenomenon is becoming increasingly relevant. Who would have thought that you can appear rich without having real wealth? Did you know that the colored squares on toothpaste tubes aren't magic? You've probably noticed the small colored squares at the end of toothpaste tubes. Some people believe that these colored markings indicate the product's composition, whether it's natural or chemical. But the truth is that's just a myth. These marks, which can be black, blue, red, or green, are known as eye marks and serve purely technical purposes. They help machines on the production line correctly orient the tube for packaging and labeling. These marks contain no information about the toothpaste's ingredients or quality. So next time you see such a mark, you'll know it's just a technical detail, not a sign of some mysterious chemical composition. Antarctica is the largest desert on Earth. Antarctica, despite all its ice and snow, is actually the largest desert in the world. Yes, you heard that right. The criteria that define a desert are low levels of precipitation, and in Antarctica, very little moisture falls. The average annual precipitation in some parts of the continent is similar to that of the Sahara. This makes Antarctica a true ice desert, where endless ice fields stretch instead of scorching sands. This fact highlights that deserts come in many forms, both hot and cold, and nature always has a surprise in store. How do you think the famous alien footsteps sound was made? One of the most memorable sounds in film is the footsteps of the alien from the iconic movie E.T. But how was it created? The answer will surprise you. This unique sound was made using regular jelly. Sound designers simply squished their hands in jelly to imitate the sticky footsteps of the alien. This fact showcases the brilliance and creativity of sound engineers who turn everyday items into amazing sound effects. Now, the next time you watch the movie, you won't be able to hear the alien's footsteps without a smile, knowing their jelly origin. Did you know that kangaroos have a spare pregnancy? Kangaroos have an amazing ability that's truly astonishing. Female kangaroos can delay the development of an embryo for several months if the conditions aren't favorable for the birth of a joey. This process is called embryonic diapause. Imagine that a kangaroo can literally put its pregnancy on hold if it's already caring for a young joey or if there isn't enough food. When conditions improve, the embryo continues its development. This biological marvel helps kangaroos survive in Australia's harsh and unpredictable climate. Welcome to a town with a population of 1. Imagine an entire town with only 1 resident. Monowai, a small town in Nebraska, USA, has a population of just 1 person, Elsie Eiler. She wears many hats: mayor, librarian, and bar owner. This tiny town with a population of 1 is a unique place in the US. Elsie runs everything on her own, collects taxes from herself, and serves the few tourists who pass by. Monowai is a living example of a one-woman show, drawing attention because of its uniqueness and Elsie's story. Did you know that ancient Egyptians created the first calendar? Ancient Egyptians were among the first to develop a calendar based on the cycles of the sun. They divided the year into 3 seasons, each consisting of 4 months. This calendar was created to accurately predict the flooding of the Nile, which was crucial for their agricultural activities. This calendar is still considered one of the greatest scientific achievements of the ancient world, helping people manage time and natural resources. Did you know there's a lava river that has been burning for decades? In the Democratic Republic of the Congo, there's the Nyiragongo volcano, which is famous for its lava lake, the largest in the world. This volcanic lake is one of the few on the planet that remains almost constantly active. Its lava flows at an incredible speed, up to 100 kilometers per hour, creating a genuine river of fire. Since scientists began monitoring the volcano in the mid-20th century, this fiery flow has practically never stopped. The lava river of Nyiragongo is a stunning representation of nature's raw power, and its heat can be felt for kilometers around. The broken chains at the feet of the Statue of Liberty. At the feet of the Statue of Liberty are broken chains, symbolizing freedom from oppression and injustice. These chains, often hidden from view, send a powerful message: the continuous march towards emancipation and liberty. They serve as a reminder that the struggle for freedom never truly ends, and every step taken is part of the larger journey towards justice. The Statue of Liberty's broken chains represent hope and liberation for all. Hard to believe, but the sun makes noise and we can hear it. Although space is silent in the usual sense, scientists have found a way to hear the sun using special instruments. The sound of the sun is produced by vibrations on its surface and inner layers, caused by thermal processes. Scientists have converted these vibrations into sounds that we can hear. If you could listen to the sun, it would sound like a low humming noise. These solar vibrations help astrophysicists study the sun's internal structure, predict solar flares, and understand the processes happening in its core. Vultures and their cooling trick. Vultures have a unique way to stay cool in hot weather. Since they can't sweat, they've developed an alternative method. They poop on their own legs. The water in their droppings evaporates, cooling their skin. This process is called urohydrosis, and it also helps to sterilize their legs after coming into contact with decaying food. So, if you ever see a vulture with white streaks on its legs, know that it's not just dirt. It's a clever way to beat the heat and keep clean. Nature certainly has its own surprises. Did you know that artificial intelligence has been around since the 1950s? Artificial intelligence, or AI, began its development in the mid-20th century and has since revolutionized various industries. From virtual assistants to autonomous vehicles, AI has become an integral part of our daily lives. Today, AI is used in healthcare, finance, transportation, and entertainment, transforming how we live and work. The growth of AI is an incredible journey of technological evolution, showcasing how far we've come in understanding and creating intelligent machines. Why can rivers in Iceland change their direction? Iceland is a country known for its unusual natural phenomena, and rivers here can unexpectedly change their direction. This happens due to volcanic activity under glaciers. When magma heats the ice, massive amounts of meltwater form underground rivers that change course depending on the pressure and movement of the ice. As a result, A river can flow in the opposite direction within just a few days, leaving residents and tourists puzzled. Did you know your brain consumes 20% of your body's energy? Despite accounting for only 2% of your body weight, the brain consumes a whopping 20% of all the energy your body produces. This means that every time you think hard or solve complex tasks, your brain is working like an energy-hungry organ. Next time you feel mentally exhausted, remember, your brain is truly burning calories as if it's training for a marathon. Hard to believe, but in Madagascar there is a tree that walks. The baobab tree in Madagascar is known for its roots that can move several meters in search of water. While the tree itself does not move, its root system grows towards sources of moisture, crossing large patches of land. This unique ability allows baobabs to survive in drought conditions and become even more resilient. This species of plants has long intrigued biologists, who are still trying to unravel all the secrets of how these ancient giants survive. What if I told you that bees can recognize human faces? Bees are not just hardworking hive workers. They're also skilled at recognizing faces. Yes, they can remember and recognize human faces, especially those they interact with often. This amazing ability helps bees navigate and even remember familiar people, making their complex social interactions smoother. It's incredible, but these little insects have cognitive skills that are often underestimated. Who would have thought that such tiny creatures could be so perceptive? How about this? Dubai has an artificial archipelago in the shape of a world map. The world is an artificial archipelago consisting of 300 islands designed to mimic the outlines of all continents. Each island is intended for private homes or hotels, and owners can choose their country. This project reflects Dubai's ambition, creating incredible landmarks out of sand and water, making them iconic attractions in the region. Is it really possible that in Spain there is an underground city without a single house above ground? In the town of Setenil de las Bodegas, Spain, people live directly under the rocks, with their homes built into caves hidden beneath the earth. This town has existed for hundreds of years, and its streets are literally covered with giant rock slabs, creating the feeling of an underground world. The rock houses protect residents from summer heat and winter cold. Setenil de las Bodegas is so unique that tourists from all over the world come to see how life can exist in such a hidden and mysterious place. Did you know the term internet was first used in 1974? We all know the internet is an essential part of modern life, but did you know the first mention of the word was in 1974? At that time, internet was used to describe a global network of interconnected computer systems. Back then, it was a novelty, but by the end of the 20th century, the internet became a revolutionary technology that changed the world. Today, billions of people are connected online, and the internet has become not just a communication tool, but also a key platform for business, science, and education. Is it possible? Paper can be stronger than steel. Special technologies can create what is known as paper armor, which, when treated properly, becomes stronger than steel. For example, Japanese washi paper, used in some bulletproof vests, can withstand impacts that ordinary paper couldn't handle. This paper is treated with resins and layered, making it incredibly durable. Amazingly, paper can be used for protection just like metal, thanks to these technologies. The world's shiniest fruit. Meet the African pollia. Believe it or not, the shiniest living organism on Earth is not a gemstone or an exotic animal, but the African fruit Pollia condensata. This vibrant blue fruit with an iridescent sheen has a unique ability to reflect light. Its outer surface reflects light so intensely that it appears to glow from within. Scientists are studying this phenomenon to better understand how such a structure can be created in nature. This fruit has become a true mystery for botanists because its glow is caused by microscopic cell structures that reflect light like diamonds. No wonder it's considered one of the shiniest things on Earth. How did people erase before erasers? With bread. Before erasers were invented in the 19th century, people used bread to erase pencil marks. Yes, fresh bread, gently pressed against the paper, could erase unwanted marks. Imagine what your desk would look like if you had to nibble away at your mistakes with a piece of bread. Fortunately, progress has given us erasers that solve this problem without extra calories. As you can see, bread isn't just for eating, it's also a writing tool. The inventor of the Super Soaker water gun worked for NASA. Who would have thought that Lonnie Johnson, the creator of the famous Super Soaker water gun, was an engineer at NASA? Johnson worked on developing advanced technologies for space missions, such as the Galileo project to Jupiter. But in his spare time, he developed toys, and one of his ideas became a global hit. The Super Soaker became an iconic water gun that kids around the world played with. This example shows that innovation can come from the most unexpected places, and an engineer's genius can create not only space technology, but also unforgettable childhood moments. Did you know chickens are descendants of tyrannosaurs? The next time you see a chicken, think about this. You're looking at a distant descendant of the mighty Tyrannosaurus rex. Scientific research has shown that chickens and some other modern birds share more traits with these prehistoric predators than any other living animal. This genetic link between chickens and dinosaurs may seem strange, but it's yet another fascinating example of how evolution shapes species. Who would have thought that the mighty T-Rex would one day evolve into a humble chicken? You'll never look at chickens the same way again. Did you know that Earth is not a perfect sphere? Our planet is far from being a perfect sphere. Its rotation causes it to bulge slightly at the equator and flatten at the poles. This shape is known as a geoid and results from the centrifugal force generated by Earth's spin. The difference in diameter between the poles and the equator is around 40 kilometers. This deviation from a perfect sphere shows how dynamic Earth truly is, always shaped by the forces acting upon it, even in ways we can't see from the surface. Did you know that the Kuwaiti dinar is the most valuable currency in the world? The Kuwaiti dinar, KWD, holds the title as the highest valued currency in the world. Despite Kuwait not having the largest economy, its currency's unique exchange rate gives it incredible worth. One Kuwaiti dinar is equivalent to about $3.30, making it one of the most valuable currencies globally. This means that even a small amount of Kuwaiti dinars can be worth a lot when exchanged for other currencies. Did you know the creator of the Frisbee had his ashes turned into a Frisbee? After the death of Walter Morrison, the inventor of the Frisbee, his ashes were turned into a Frisbee. This unusual tribute not only kept his spirit alive, but literally made him part of the game he created. It's a reminder that a person's memory can fly on, encouraging us to enjoy every moment of life. Imagine a hybrid of a cow and a bison. It's a beefalo. Yes, there exists a unique hybrid of a cow and a bison called a beefalo. These animals combine the traits of both cows and bison, and they are known for their impressive hardiness. Beefalos can be found in certain regions of the United States where they have become agricultural stars. They are bred as a more resilient alternative to traditional livestock, being better suited to harsh conditions. Imagine, you're on a stroll and come across this amazing creature that looks like a mix of the majesty of a wild bison and the domesticity of a cow. A true wonder of nature, brought to life by genetic experimentation. The first computer bug was a real bug. In 1947, a real moth flew into one of the first computers, causing it to malfunction. This unexpected visitor became the first documented computer bug. Since then, the term bug has been used to describe any glitch in a computer system. Who would have thought that a tiny moth could play such a big role in technological history? This little incident also gave rise to the term debugging, and the story remains a quirky part of tech lore. Why are honey mushrooms considered the largest living organisms on the planet? In the forests of Oregon, there is one of the largest organisms on Earth, the honey fungus, Armillaria ostoyae. This fungus covers an area of over 9 square kilometers and has been growing for thousands of years. Underground, it forms giant mycelial networks that connect trees and other plants. Above ground, it may look like just a few mushrooms, but beneath the surface lies an enormous network rivaling the size of large cities. Thumbs have their own pulse. Have you ever wondered why people check their pulse using their index and middle fingers instead of their thumbs? It's because your thumb has its own pulse. Each thumb is supplied with blood by the radial artery, which runs along the wrist on the thumb side. This artery is so strong that you can feel its pulse when you touch it. That's why it's recommended to avoid using your thumb when taking a pulse, to prevent mixing up its pulse with your actual heartbeat. Now you know that even your thumb has its own little heartbeat. Surprisingly, some snakes have vestigial legs. Yes, certain snake species like boas and pythons still possess tiny vestigial legs, called spurs, near their tails. These remnants are the evolutionary leftovers from when snakes' ancestors had fully formed limbs millions of years ago. Over time, as snakes adapted to a slithering lifestyle, they lost the need for legs. But these little spurs remain as a fascinating window into the ancient past of these reptiles. It's like carrying a little piece of history on their bodies, reminding us that evolution is full of surprises. Why can dung beetles navigate by the stars? These tiny creatures have a unique ability to use the stars as a compass. At night, they look at the Milky Way to always move in the right direction and stay on course. This is especially important when they transport their precious dung balls over long distances, as these provide them with both food and protection. Surprisingly, scientists have found that their eyes, while not highly developed, are sensitive to starlight. This celestial navigation helps them stay oriented even in the complete darkness of deserts and savannas. Brazil, the country with the greatest biodiversity. Brazil is home to 15 to 20% of all the world's biodiversity. It houses more than 120,000 species of invertebrates, about 9,000 species of vertebrates, and over 4,000 species of plants. Every year, around 700 new species of animals and plants are discovered in Brazil. This rich biodiversity is not only vital for ecology, but also holds immense potential for economic development and scientific discovery. Did you know that Tokyo has buildings that can grow? Tokyo has a construction technology that allows buildings to increase in height, even after completion. The foundation is reinforced so that additional floors can be added later. This saves space in the metropolis and adapts to changing demands. For example, the Mizushima skyscraper was built with 14 floors, but later grew to 20. It's hard to believe, but there are trees that walk. In the Amazon, there is a palm tree known as Socratea exoryza, which locals call the walking palm. This tree can move short distances over the course of several years in search of better growing conditions. Its roots gradually shift, causing the palm to step. While it's not a real walk, the plant's ability to move toward the light makes it unique in the plant world. Who would have thought that King Louis XIV ruled for 72 years? Louis XIV, also known as the Sun King, holds the record for the longest reign in the history of monarchy. He ruled France for 72 years and 110 days, from 1643 to 1715. This incredible reign surpasses all other monarchs in history. During his time, France became the cultural heart of Europe, and Louis himself became the symbol of absolute power. Long live the king who ruled longer than any other. Is it possible? The most venomous snake in the world lives in Australia. The inland taipan, also known as the fierce snake, is the most venomous creature on the planet. The venom from one bite is powerful enough to kill over 100 people. Despite its fearsome reputation, the inland taipan is a very shy and elusive snake, preferring to avoid contact with humans. It can be found only in remote parts of Australia, where it hunts small mammals using its incredible speed and deadly precision. Surprisingly, ancient mirrors were actually dangerous. Early mirrors were made from metals like copper or bronze, which could create blinding reflections and even accidental fires. In Roman times, convex mirrors that concentrated sunlight were popular, much like magnifying glasses. This made them both dangerous and expensive, accessible only to the wealthiest. Modern mirrors are safe, but ancient ones still hold a bit of magic and danger within them. Did you know plastic bags can take centuries to decompose? The plastic bags we use every day can take up to several hundred years to decompose, or even longer. Unlike organic materials, plastic doesn't easily break down because it's not part of nature's cycle. Over time, it degrades into smaller pieces known as microplastics, but this process takes decades. This poses a serious environmental problem, highlighting the need to rethink how we use and dispose of plastic in our daily lives. Did you know there is a musical record left on the moon? In 1971, during the Apollo 15 mission, a music record was left on the moon with recordings of earthly artists. This record, featuring songs from the Beatles and others, became a symbol of peace and humanity. Today, it remains there as a message for future generations or even aliens who might find it and hear the sounds of our planet. Did you know the world's smallest horse weighs less than a dog? Thumbelina, the world's smallest horse, stands at just 43 centimeters tall and weighs only 26 kilograms. Born in 2001 with a genetic condition causing dwarfism, Thumbelina may be tiny, but she has a big heart. She works as a therapy animal, bringing joy to children and the elderly with her adorable presence. Why do the leaves of some plants glow? In the dark forests of New Zealand, you can find a remarkable plant called glow moss, which emits a faint blue-green light in the dark. This phenomenon, known as bioluminescence, attracts insects that help spread its spores. Travelers who have seen it with their own eyes say the glowing moss looks like magical lights in a nighttime forest, as if they have stepped into a fantasy world. This natural lamp adds an enchanting and mystical touch to the forest. Camels, the giants of the desert. Despite popular belief, camels didn't always live in deserts. They originally descended from ancient animals that roamed the forests of North America around 30 million years ago. Over time, they migrated to Africa and Asia, where their humps became an adaptation for surviving in hot climates. These humps, filled with fat, allow camels to go without water for up to 2 weeks. They can drink up to 50 liters of water at once, making them masters of survival in environments where other creatures would perish. Camels remain a vital part of life for many desert communities. How about this? In Italy, there is a museum filled with objects found at the bottom of canals. In Venice, there is a museum where exhibits are collected from the bottom of the famous canals. Among the items on display, you can find ancient coins, musical instruments, luxury goods, and even cars. This museum tells the city's history through lost and forgotten objects, many of which lay underwater for centuries. Venice, with its labyrinth of canals, has always been a mysterious city, and these underwater discoveries reveal even more secrets of this ancient place. Did you know that animals can be allergic to humans? Believe it or not, allergies aren't just a human problem. Animals can suffer from them too. Some pets can develop allergies to human dander, just like we can be allergic to animal fur. This can cause symptoms such as breathing difficulties and skin irritation, much like the allergic reactions we experience. It's a surprising reminder that allergies don't discriminate between species, and even our beloved furry friends can be sensitive to us. Did you know glass actually flows? Contrary to popular belief, glass is not entirely solid. Over time, glass slowly flows, though this process can take hundreds or thousands of years. In old buildings, you might notice that glass windows have become slightly thicker at the bottom. This happens because the molecules of glass gradually shift downward under the force of gravity, making it behave more like a very slow-moving liquid on a molecular level. Did you know there are eternal lightning storms on Earth? In Venezuela, there is a place called Catatumbo, where lightning strikes almost constantly. This unique natural phenomenon occurs at Lake Maracaibo, where lightning can be observed on up to 250 days each year. Known as the Catatumbo lightning storm, lightning can flash up to 280 times an hour. Scientists believe this is due to the region's unique topography, which creates perfect conditions for constant discharges. This location has become a major attraction for tourists and scientists from around the world. Snails can sleep for up to 3 years. In the slow-moving world of creatures, snails are the undeniable champions. They have the astonishing ability to hibernate for up to 3 years. For some, it's not laziness, but rather an enviable skill of endurance and patience. You can only imagine the slow-paced dreams they must have over the years. And here we thought our weekend naps were impressive. Don't ever challenge a snail to a sleep-off. You're bound to lose in the most hilarious way possible. Hell freezes over and every year. Believe it or not, there's a town in Norway called Hell, and it literally freezes over every winter. This is not a joke. It's a real place on the map. And although the town is quite small, It attracts tourists every year thanks to its unusual name. Due to Norway's cold climate, Hell is covered in ice and snow every winter, often sparking jokes. "When hell freezes over" is a phrase that is rather common for the residents of this town. So if you want to see hell for yourself, head to Norway in the winter and watch it freeze over. Can you imagine that fungi are closer to animals than plants? Believe it or not, fungi share a common ancestor with animals, dating back more than 1 billion years. Unlike plants, fungi are heterotrophs, which means they can't produce their own food through photosynthesis. Instead, they absorb nutrients from organic matter, just like animals. This makes fungi a unique form of life, existing somewhere between the plant and animal kingdoms. Fungi are nature's recyclers, breaking down dead matter and returning nutrients to the ecosystem. Laika, the first star among space dogs. In 1957, a small Moscow stray named Laika became a true hero when she launched into space aboard Sputnik 2. Laika was the first living being to orbit the Earth, proving that life could survive in zero gravity. Her mission was a key part of the Soviet space program, which paved the way for future space exploration. Though Laika's return to Earth was not planned, her bravery inspired a generation of scientists and marked an important step toward conquering the cosmos. Laika remains a symbol of courage and sacrifice for the sake of progress. It's interesting that footprints on the moon will last for millions of years. Due to the lack of atmosphere on the moon, the footprints left by astronauts may remain for millions of years. There is no wind or water on the moon to erase footprints or even the marks left by spacecraft. This means that the footprints from the Apollo missions, left in the 1960s and 1970s, will remain almost unchanged for millions of years. The moon's surface is like a time capsule of space exploration history. Did you know that the pale blue dot is a photo of Earth taken from 6 billion kilometers away? This iconic image of our planet was captured by the Voyager 1 spacecraft in 1990 from a distance of 3.7 billion miles, or 6 billion kilometers. In the photo, Earth appears as a tiny, barely visible dot in the vast expanse of space. It reminds us of how small and vulnerable our planet is in the grand scale of the universe, prompting reflection on our place in the world. Did you know that in Dubai there is a heavy gold ATM? In Dubai you can find ATMs that dispense gold bars instead of regular money. These gold ATMs allow customers to purchase small bars of pure gold in various weights, from 1 gram to 2.5 kilograms. The gold is dispensed in beautiful gift packaging, and you can track the current price in real time. Dubai is famous for its luxurious landmarks, but being able to withdraw gold directly from an ATM is a true symbol of the city's extravagance. Did you know the largest living organism on Earth is a mushroom? The honey fungus, also known as the giant mushroom, covers an astonishing 2,385 acres in the Malheur National Forest in Oregon, USA. This fungus forms a massive underground network of mycelium, which is the vegetative part of the fungus that spreads beneath the soil. The mycelium isn't visible to the naked eye, but it is responsible for the mushrooms that appear above the ground. Can you imagine one organism covering such a vast area? It's a true wonder of nature that few people know about. Clouds are heavier than you think. Ever wonder how much clouds weigh, even though they float so gracefully across the sky? Well, a typical cumulus cloud weighs about 500,000 kilograms. That's as much as 100 elephants. They might look light and fluffy, but they're carrying a huge amount of water. The next time you see clouds overhead, just remember the massive weight floating above you. Believe it or not, octopuses have 3 hearts and 9 brains. Octopuses aren't just extraordinarily smart, they are also built in incredibly unique ways. They have 3 hearts that pump blue blood and 9 brains. 1 central brain, and 8 mini-brains in each tentacle. These mini-brains allow each tentacle to move independently, almost as if they have their own will. Octopuses are so unique that scientists consider them one of the most mysterious creatures on Earth. How did London almost start growing pineapples in the middle of winter? In the 17th century, the English wanted pineapples so much that they started building special greenhouses to grow them. These greenhouses, called pineapple houses, were heated with coal, and it could take up to 2 years to grow a single pineapple. Considering that pineapples were a true rarity back then, they were given as royal gifts, symbolizing luxury and status. How do insects breathe without lungs? Insects have a fascinating respiratory system. They don't have lungs, but instead breathe through tiny pores called spiracles. These spiracles are located on their thorax and abdomen, allowing air to flow through a network of tubes called tracheae. Some insects can even control their breathing by opening and closing the spiracles, and in low oxygen conditions, they can temporarily slow their metabolism by recycling the oxygen stored in their tracheae. This respiratory system is just one of the many ingenious adaptations that help insects thrive in diverse environments. Johnny Appleseed, the man who planted apples not for food. Many of us have heard the legend of Johnny Appleseed, whose real name was John Chapman. This famous gardener didn't just plant apple trees across America. His goal was much more interesting. He planted trees not for the apples to be eaten, but to produce cider. In the early 19th century, apples were mainly used to make this alcoholic drink, and Johnny Appleseed became a hero among cider lovers. Knowing this story, each glass of apple cider will feel a bit more historical. Why do some old clocks have one number written incorrectly? If you have ever looked closely at the dials of old clocks, you may have noticed that the Roman numeral for 4 is often written as Th instead of the standard IV. The reason for this lies in historical traditions. Roman craftsmen believed that Thurs looked more symmetrical on the clock face and was easier to recognize by the eye. This rule has carried over from ancient times to modern antique clocks, preserving its incorrect beauty. Who would have thought the world's smallest fish is less than 1 centimeter long? The world's smallest fish, Pedocypris progenetica, found in the waters of Indonesia, measures only 7.9 millimeters in length, less than 1/3 of an inch. Weighing just 0.004 of a gram, this transparent fish has no scales or teeth. It lives in peat swamps and feeds on plankton. Despite its tiny size, this fish faces significant threats from habitat loss and pollution, proving that even the smallest creatures play a vital role in the ecosystem. Goosebumps, an evolutionary artifact from our ancestors. Have you ever wondered why we get goosebumps? This phenomenon is linked to our ancient ancestors. Long ago, when humans and animals had more body hair, this reaction helped them appear larger and more intimidating to predators, while also retaining heat in cold weather. When tiny muscles at the base of hair follicles contract, the hair stands up, creating a fluffy effect. Today, goosebumps are a leftover from our evolutionary past, but they no longer serve the important function they once did. Nowadays, goosebumps are more often triggered by cold or strong emotions. So, next time you feel goosebumps, remember that they are a part of your ancient defense system. Can you believe a sloth can hold its breath for 40 minutes? Sloths, despite their slow movements, possess an extraordinary ability to hold their breath for up to 40 minutes. This physiological adaptation helps them survive in the treetops and protect themselves from predators, even allowing them to stay underwater for extended periods when crossing rivers. This unique skill, developed for life in the rainforest canopy, shows how evolution has crafted these creatures to perfectly match their environment. Sloths may be slow, but their adaptations are anything but ordinary. Did you know that 2–3% of people don't need deodorant? Yes, it's true. About 2–3% of the population has a genetic mutation that prevents the production of unpleasant body odor associated with sweating. These people can engage in sports and physical activity without worrying about body odor. This happens because they lack the necessary bacteria that break down sweat and create unpleasant smells. This discovery sheds light on the diversity of human genetics and how we perceive body odors. Tardigrades, survival masters of extreme conditions. These microscopic creatures, also known as water bears, can survive in places where other organisms would perish. Tardigrades can endure freezing temperatures as low as -270 degrees Celsius, boiling heat, radiation, and even the vacuum of space. In extreme conditions, they enter a state called cryptobiosis, where their metabolism nearly stops, turning them into something like a time capsule. In this state, they can survive without water or food for decades. These fascinating creatures inspire scientists to explore new frontiers, and one day, They might even help humans conquer other planets. Why sloths are so slow? A metabolic mystery. Sloths are so slow that even their digestion can take weeks. They can take up to 30 days to digest a single leaf. This slow metabolism helps them survive in environments where food is scarce. Sloths live in the treetops of tropical forests, moving so slowly that algae grow on their fur, camouflaging them into their surroundings. This disguise helps protect them from predators like eagles and jaguars. Thanks to their laziness, they use very little energy, making them true masters of energy conservation in nature. Is it true that time flows differently in space? Yes, and it's due to Einstein's theory of relativity. The faster you move or the closer you are to an object with a strong gravitational field, the slower time passes for you relative to the rest of the universe. Astronauts aboard the International Space Station literally age more slowly because they're moving at high speeds. This phenomenon is called gravitational time dilation. What does a sunset on Mars look like? You'll be amazed. Imagine watching a sunset on Mars where the sky doesn't turn red like it does on Earth, but blue. This unique phenomenon happens because of how the thin Martian atmosphere scatters sunlight. Unlike Earth's thick atmosphere that gives us those fiery reds and oranges, the Martian atmosphere bends light in a way that turns the sky into a stunning shade of blue. It's a cosmic anomaly that makes Mars feel like its own special planet. The next time you watch a sunset here on Earth, think about how it must be on Mars. Did you know one lightning strike could toast 100,000 slices of bread? A single lightning strike can generate enough energy to toast about 100,000 slices of bread. This figure highlights the colossal power of lightning and its ability to generate incredible amounts of energy in just fractions of a second. Next time you see lightning, imagine how powerful nature is, not only booming thunderously but also capable of powering an entire electric grid. Nature continues to astonish with its immense potential. How about this? In Turkey, there is an ancient underground city that could hold over 20,000 people. Derinkuyu is one of the largest and most mysterious underground cities in the world. It was built thousands of years ago in Cappadocia and consists of several levels deep underground. For centuries, the city was used as a refuge during wars and raids. It included everything needed for life: living quarters, wineries, churches, ventilation shafts, and even schools. The city was discovered accidentally in 1963, and to this day, archaeologists have not fully explored all of its secrets. Why a day on Venus is longer than its year? Did you know that one day on Venus is longer than an entire Venusian year? Venus rotates around its axis so slowly that it takes about 243 Earth days to complete one rotation. But its year, its orbit around the Sun, lasts only around 225 days. Imagine standing on Venus, watching the sun rise and set over the course of several months. By the time a Venusian evening arrives, 2 Earth years have passed. This makes Venus one of the most paradoxical planets in our solar system. Have you ever wondered where the word okay came from? Can you imagine that one of the most popular words in the world came from a simple joke? In 1839, in Boston, the phrase "all correct" was intentionally misspelled as "all correct" in a humorous newspaper article. This abbreviation, shortened to OK, quickly became common in everyday language. Since then, OK has become universal, understood in almost every corner of the world. It signifies agreement, affirmation, or just a friendly gesture. From humble beginnings to global spread, OK proves that even a joke can become a linguistic phenomenon. Now, when you use this word, you can remember its amusing origins. Did you know that in Egypt, there is an ancient lighthouse that has been working for over 2,000 years? The lighthouse in Alexandria is one of the oldest structures still performing its function. It was built in the 3rd century BC and serves as an important navigation point for sailors. Although the original tower was destroyed by earthquakes, its reconstruction in later centuries allowed the lighthouse to remain operational. This lighthouse is not only a symbol of ancient technology, but also a testament to engineering mastery that has stood the test of time. Can you believe that the electric chair was actually invented by a dentist? Believe it or not, the electric chair, one of the most infamous devices in history, was conceived by Alfred P. Southwick, a dentist. Southwick designed the electric chair in the late 19th century as a more humane alternative to hanging. This shocking invention forever changed the history of capital punishment. It's almost ironic to think that a person dedicated to caring for people's teeth would create such a grim device. The legend of the cookie, how Nestle got the recipe in exchange for chocolate. We all love chocolate chip cookies, but do you know how they became so popular? In the 1930s, Ruth Wakefield invented the famous Toll House chocolate chip cookie, but she didn't sell the recipe to Nestle. Instead, Ruth made a deal where Nestle would print her recipe on their chocolate bars, and in return, she received a lifetime supply of chocolate. That's how chocolate chip cookies became a worldwide favorite, and Ruth Wakefield's name went down in culinary history. Did you know car aromas can reduce accidents? It's surprising but true. The right scent inside a car can make driving safer. Studies show that aromas such as lavender or vanilla can calm drivers, reduce stress, and help maintain focus. A relaxed driver is less likely to be involved in an accident, making the choice of car scent not just a pleasant detail but also an important safety factor. Did you know that the first frozen dinner was created in 1953? Imagine this. The frozen dinners we're so used to were once a culinary breakthrough. In 1953, Swanson introduced a frozen meal styled after a Thanksgiving dinner. This meal was in response to the need for quick meal preparation, and since then, frozen foods have become a staple of our diets. Today, the variety of frozen meals is staggering, from pizzas to exotic delicacies. Just think how a simple solution for leftover food turned into a multi-billion-dollar industry that has transformed our eating habits. It's interesting that messages in bottles can travel for years across the sea. Sometimes bottles with messages thrown into the sea can float for years before reaching a shore. The longest recorded journey of such a message lasted about 133 years. During that time, the bottle traveled thousands of kilometers. These random journeys have inspired countless stories, and even in our digital age, people continue to throw bottles into the ocean, hoping to connect with future generations. Did you know that turtles can breathe through their butts? Yes, you heard that right. Turtles, especially species like the Fitzroy River turtle, can breathe through their cloaca, the opening they use for reproduction and waste excretion. This amazing ability helps turtles absorb oxygen from the water, allowing them to stay underwater for long periods. This process is called cloacal respiration, and it's yet another example of how unique and diverse survival methods are in the animal kingdom. So next time you see a turtle, remember that it's a true master of breathing from both ends. Chocolate cosmos. Imagine a flower that smells like chocolate. The chocolate cosmos, Cosmos atrosanguineus, is a flower that might surprise you with its scent, reminiscent of real chocolate. This dark red flower, native to Central America, is so rare that it's almost extinct in the wild. Yet it continues to be cultivated in gardens worldwide to enjoy its unique aroma. Imagine strolling through a garden where, instead of floral scents, you breathe in the sweet, enticing smell of chocolate. It's nature's gift to those with a sweet tooth. Believe it or not, colorblind people live full, vibrant lives. Colorblindness is a condition where some people have difficulty distinguishing certain colors, with red and green being the most common. However, people with colorblindness have adapted by using patterns, memory, and modern technology, such as color filters for screens and specialized glasses. These innovations help colorblind individuals lead full lives and express themselves uniquely. Despite the challenges, colorblind people overcome these obstacles with resilience and creativity, proving that life is as vibrant as they make it. The rarest zebra in the world, spots instead of stripes. In Kenya, an incredible zebra was once spotted with spots instead of the usual stripes. This rare phenomenon occurred due to a genetic mutation that literally transformed our understanding of what zebras look like. This unusual zebra attracted great attention from conservationists and biologists, as such deviations are rare and require special attention to preserve the species. It's not every day you see a zebra with spots instead of stripes. Sperm whales, the loudest creatures on Earth. Sperm whales are underwater sound machines, They produce clicks and vocalizations that can reach up to 230 decibels. That's several times louder than a jet engine. These sounds help sperm whales communicate over vast distances and navigate the ocean depths. They use them like sonar to hunt giant squid at depths of over 1,000 meters. These clicks are so powerful that they can even stun their prey from a distance. Imagine if humans had similar abilities. We could communicate across entire oceans. Can you believe Scotland's national animal is a unicorn? Yes, it's true. Scotland has chosen the unicorn, a mythical creature, as its national animal. This magical beast, symbolizing purity and strength, has held a special place in Scottish culture and symbolism for centuries. The unicorn became a national symbol in the Middle Ages and still adorns coats of arms and flags today. As a national emblem, the unicorn represents Scotland's proud, independent, and slightly mystical spirit. Did you know giraffes barely sleep? Giraffes are masters of the power nap. These towering creatures need only about 1 hour and 9 minutes of sleep a day, and even then they break their sleep into short bursts, perfecting the art of napping. This remarkable adaptation shows how nature can surprise us with its creativity. Imagine how productive humans could be if we only needed 2 hours of sleep per day. Tick saliva is hundreds of times stronger than morphine. It sounds incredible, but tick saliva contains compounds with anesthetic properties that are hundreds of times stronger than morphine. These natural painkillers allow ticks to attach to their hosts without causing pain. This fact has attracted the attention of scientists who are now researching the potential of using these compounds in medicine to create new pain relief methods. Who would have thought that tiny parasites could hide such immense medical potential? Hard to believe. But Iceland has an official elf translator. Icelanders believe in elves so much that they even invite a special translator to communicate with them. Road and building contractors are required to consult with this translator to avoid disturbing elf dwellings. It's believed that elves live in rocks and hills, so if construction is needed, they check first to see if it's an elf home. This way, Iceland builds with possible neighbors in mind. Is it possible in Tokyo there is an inverted tower that goes more than 60 floors underground? The Japanese are known for their engineering ingenuity, and the inverted tower project is one of the most ambitious. This tower, unlike traditional skyscrapers, goes deep underground instead of soaring into the sky. Built in the dense urban landscape, it is an innovative solution for creating new office and living spaces in a land-scarce environment. Imagine walking down the street and below you there's a whole underground city. Can you imagine that bananas are actually berries? Despite their shape and size, bananas are, botanically speaking, berries. It all comes down to how they develop from a flower. But here's the twist. Strawberries, which we often think of as berries, technically aren't. Although bananas look more like a fruit, their internal structure and growth process mark them as true berries. So, next time you enjoy a banana, remember you're eating a bona fide berry. What is a clowder? Meet a group of cats. Have you ever wondered what a group of cats is called? It turns out the proper term is clowder. This quirky word is used to describe several cats gathered together. There are other terms like glaring or pounce for groups of cats, but clowder sounds especially charming. The next time you see a bunch of cats hanging out, you can impress everyone with your knowledge of this unusual term. It's hard to believe, but it rains diamonds on Saturn. Researchers believe that lightning storms in Saturn's atmosphere turn methane into carbon, which then crystallizes into diamonds. These diamond drops can reach several centimeters in size and, as they fall from great heights, turn into graphite. Thus, on Saturn, you can witness a rain of precious stones. At such depths and under high pressure, they turn back into carbon. But the very idea of this phenomenon is breathtaking. Did you know that holding in a sneeze can be more dangerous than it seems? Have you ever tried to hold in a sneeze so as not to draw attention or disturb those around you? But did you know that this habit can lead to serious consequences? When you suppress a sneeze, the pressure in your blood vessels increases sharply, which can cause a blood vessel in the brain to rupture. In extremely rare cases, this can even lead to a stroke. Yes, such an innocent reflex as sneezing, if suppressed, can turn into a health catastrophe. So don't hold it back. Better to let that sneeze out. It's amazing, but the platypus is one of the strangest creatures on Earth. This incredible Australian animal, which looks like a mix of different creatures, has baffled scientists for centuries. The platypus lays eggs, produces milk for its young, and has venomous spurs on its hind legs. This combination of traits makes it one of the most unique mammals on the planet. Despite its odd characteristics, the platypus has lived on Earth for millions of years and remains a symbol of nature's mysteries and evolution. It turns out Sudan has more pyramids than Egypt. When we think of pyramids, Egypt is the first place that comes to mind. But here's a surprising fact. Sudan actually has more pyramids than Egypt. Egypt has about 138 pyramids, while Sudan boasts a whopping 255. These ancient structures, though less famous, represent a treasure trove of history yet to be discovered. If you love pyramids and ancient history, Sudan could be your next big adventure. What if I told you there are floating markets in some countries? In Thailand and Vietnam, you can find markets located right on the water. Traders sell fruits, vegetables, and souvenirs from small boats, creating an amazing and colorful scene. These markets are located along canals where people can literally paddle up to the goods they want. This unique tradition attracts tourists from all over the world, allowing them to immerse themselves in the local culture and trading atmosphere.